Hello everyone and welcome back. We got another great video here today talking about a couple of things, including a signing in Montreal surrounding a goaltender, a waiver update involving the Pittsburgh Penguins, a couple of injury updates around the NHL, and some trade rumors involving the Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, Montreal Canadiens, and Seattle Kraken. And we'll get to all those coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we end this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. We are so close to 100 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I'll never be able to do this without you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Now, as usual, I'm going to kick things off today by discussing a couple of signings that have happened over the past couple of days. There have been two signings that happened over the past couple of days. First one's a little more less significant, so we'll get to that one first. The Golden Knights have signed center Jordan Gustafsson, who was a third-round pick in the 2022 draft. Not a recent draft, but the draft before that, so it'll be interesting to see how well he does. But he gets a 3-year ELC with the AAV of $858,000 and will start whenever he's able to turn pro. So it'll be interesting to see. But Gustafsson's been playing over in the WHL over the past couple of years. Last year, put up 36 points in 40 games, looked really good. This year so far has 3 assists in 8 games. Now a whole bunch more better than he was last year, but definitely he looks like a fantastic player. I think long term he could be a team's fourth or third line center for the Golden Knights. Still gonna need a couple of years of development time, probably a year or two in the WHL, then maybe a year or two in the AHL, so probably still 2 or 3 years away. But I think when he's ready to compete for the NHL spot, he's definitely going to be a solid bottom 6 forward. So this is a really good signing. He gets his ELC. I think Gustafsson, like I said, could be definitely a good, solid third, fourth line center down the road. So not a bad ELC signing for Golden Knights as they get one of their younger players locked up on a new deal. But they do have a much more significant signing. The Montreal Canadiens, after a lot of speculation about signing or trading Sam Montembeault, have indeed signed him. Sam Montembeault, who is in the final year of a 2-year, $1 million AAV deal, winds up getting a new contract. He gets a 3-year contract with an AAV of $3.15 million, and the deal will be at the start of next year. Now, this is a fantastic deal for Montembeault. There was some talk that he wanted like a 4x4 deal. That doesn't really end up happening. Montembeault was once a waiver pickup of the Montreal Canadiens. He fit in extremely well with the Montreal Canadiens in their system as their starting goaltender, and they never looked back after acquiring him via waivers. Montembeault's looked really good, and they obviously are confident enough to give him a contract extension. There was some talk it could maybe be traded. Some were saying maybe he's the guy who Edmonton tries to go after, but he doesn't wind up getting traded. He winds up staying. So since being acquired by Montreal, he played 38 games in the 21-22 season, playing for 3.77 GAA and an 891 save percentage. Last year, he did fantastic, was probably the best Canadiens goaltender, had 40 games played, put up a 3.42 GAA and a 901 save percentage, so it was a little bit better than it was the previous year, and he's continued to get better. So far this year, in 10 games, he has a 2.73 GAA and a 910 save percentage. So for the Canadiens, they've been hovering around the 500 mark this year, and a big part of that is because of the play of Sam Montembeault. So he's probably long-term going to be a tandem partner with Kane Primo now, which now makes a lot of sense why they would possibly trade Jake Allen. We'll get to that in a little bit, but this is a really good sign in my opinion. Montembeault has definitely played really well. I think at $3 million for the next 3 years, he's on the younger side of things. I think that's a pretty good deal in my opinion for the Montembeault, and I think if he can continue to play as he's had the past couple of years, this team should be a very fantastic team in net. So it'll be really interesting to see, but I definitely do like this signing for Montembeault. He's not a completely young player and was a player who was heading for free agency, but I do like this deal for the Montreal Canadiens. So Canadiens get a solid goaltender who's going to be their 1A for the future and someone who's already played really well over the past couple of years. For Montembeault, he gets a pretty good, decent upgrade from his 2-year, $1 million AAV deal to a 3-year, $3.15 million AAV deal. And I think Montembeault's definitely earned it. So very good stuff there for Canadiens as they are able to get him extended. And those are your two signings in the past couple of days. We did have one waiver update that I forgot to mention over the past couple of days. Will Butcher was placed on and cleared waivers for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not too much of a surprise. At one point in the couple of years ago, Butcher was a fantastic third pair defenseman, but since then he's become more of an AHL defenseman, and on top of that, he was coming off a season-opening injury reserve, so it's not overly surprising he wound up clearing. I do think that there might have been a small chance he could be claimed, just given the fact that there's a couple of teams out there who could definitely use some depth defense, and he's on a bad contract, so I thought there might have been a chance Butcher gets claimed, but given the fact he's more of an AHL player at this point in time, and coming off of a season-opening injury, I'm not overly surprised that Butcher wound up clearing. So, not overly surprised about that, and Butcher does wind up clearing waivers. A couple of quick suspension updates. I forgot to mention this one on Tuesday, and he's now served both of his games. But Ryan Hartman on Sunday was suspended 2 games for a slew foot. So not overly surprised there. It was a pretty bad call for the Ryan Hartman, and he missed the last 2 games, both wins for the Minnesota Wild. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. But with him suspended, that was a really bad news. And then the New Jersey Devils had Brendan Smith suspended for a play that happened in the New Jersey Devils game against the Philadelphia Flyers. So it was not great stuff there from Brendan Smith. He already served the first game of his suspension against the San Jose Sharks, and he'll have to serve his next suspension in the next game for the Devils. So Smith and Hartman were suspended 2 games. Hartman's going to be returning most likely, I think, tonight. The Devils are going to be without Brendan Smith for 1 more game before he's eligible to return. So it'll be interesting to see, but Smith and Hartman were both suspended for 2 games. Hartman's done, Smith has 1 more game left, and then he'll be done too. So interesting stuff there, but 2 players were suspended. Going over to a quick injury update stuff here. Gudas and Liabushkin, who have both suffered injuries over the past couple of days. Gudas, a lower body injury, Liabushkin, an upper body injury, have both been cleared, and they're back in the game action now for the Anaheim Ducks. For the Arizona Coyotes, Dumba's been cleared to play for the Arizona Coyotes. Valimaki's been cleared to play for the Arizona Coyotes, and Zermatt's upper body injury has been updated to now only day-to-day. So really good news there for the Arizona Coyotes. For the Buffalo Sabres, Zemgus Girgensons, who has a lower body injury, his status has been updated to week. So that's not great news for the Buffalo Sabres, as they're going to lose a solid bomb 6 option for the next couple of weeks. The Chicago Blackhawks have lost Cole Gutman to an upper body injury. He's currently out day-to-day right now with it, so not great news from the Chicago Blackhawks. Cole Sillinger suffered an upper body injury a couple days ago. He's currently out day-to-day right now with an injury, so not great news for Sillinger. He's been a really good young part of that top 9 so far this year, but Daniil Tarasov has missed so far the entirety of the season due to an injury suffered in the offseason, has wound up being cleared to play. He could get into game action in the not-too-distant future, so good news there for the Columbus Blue Jackets to get their young goaltender back. For the Detroit Red Wings, they have a lot of injury updates. Justin Holl has an undisclosed injury. He's out day-to-day right now. Gostisbehere, who did have upper body injury, has been cleared to play. Larkin has an undisclosed injury. He's currently out day-to-day. Patrick Kane has been cleared to play for the Detroit Red Wings, but it sounds like he'll probably still wait another week or 2 before getting into his first game action as a member of the Detroit Red Wings. So it'll be interesting to see there, but good news for the Detroit to get some of these guys back, but still bad news to see guys like Larkin out right now, so not great news there. Tobias Bjornfot, who was injured just about a week ago, has been cleared to play and should be able to get back in a game action for the Kings in their next game. So really good stuff there for the Kings to get Bjornfot back from his injury. For the Montreal Canadiens, Alex Newhook has an ankle injury. He's going to be out the next 3 months, around 3 months, maybe not exactly 3 months, but that's really bad blow for the Montreal Canadiens. Newhook's been a really good top 6, middle 6 forward for the Montreal Canadiens. He's going to be out until sometime between February-ish, would be my guess. So that's a really bad blow for the Montreal Canadiens, as Newhook's been a fantastic addition for that team. For the Nashville Predators, Luke Schen's been cleared to play, so good to see that that's happened. But Alex Carrier does have an upper body injury right now for the Nashville Predators. He's going to be out week to week, so that's a really bad loss. He's a solid right shot defenseman and a possible trade chip for the Predators, so really bad to see him go down with an injury. Curtis Lazar was cleared to play for the New Jersey Devils, as was Timo Meier, so good to see those 2 forwards are back, but they also lost 2 other players due to injury. Thomas Nosek has a foot injury. Dougie Hamilton has an upper body injury. Both are going to be out for an indefinite period of time. So not great news there. Hamilton's their best defenseman. Nosek's a solid bomb 6 forward. So really bad to see those 2 guys both go down with injuries. Hopefully they can recover not just in future. For the New York Islanders, Dalen Kufler, who was placed on season opening injury reserve earlier in the season, wound up clearing to play and has now been taken off of season opening injury reserve and sent down to the minors. So that's really good news there for the New York Islanders. For New York Rangers, Adam Fox has been cleared to play and gone back into game action for the New York Rangers. So that's really good news to get their top end defenseman back for the New York Rangers. However, Kaapo Kakko has suffered an injury and he's in place in long-term injury reserve. So really bad stuff there for the Rangers. Then for the Ottawa Senators, Thomas Chabot has been cleared to play. Not sure if he's gotten back into game action or not, but he should be able to get back in the not-too-distant future. So really good stuff there for the Ottawa Senators and Thomas Chabot. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, Will Butcher and Brian Rust have both gone back into game action. Rust has missed the past couple of games due to an injury, so good to see that Rust was able to get back in the past couple of games. Butcher, meanwhile, started on season opening injury reserve. He was cleared to play and sent back down to the minors, so not overly surprised that happened. Tomas Hertl, who was dealing with the upper body injury, has been cleared to play and got back into game action. And then Giovanni Smith, who was a game time decision for yesterday's game action against New Jersey Devils, was indeed cleared to play and did wind up getting into game action. So really good stuff there from the San Jose Sharks. Schwartz has an upper body injury for the Seattle Kraken. He's going to be out for the next 6 weeks. So that's a really bad blow for the Kraken to lose a solid top 6 forward for the next little while. Giordano has a finger injury, suffered in the Maple Leafs' most recent game. He's going to be out week to week right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a huge blow to the Leafs decor, given the fact that he's a really solid bottom pairing defenseman there for the Leafs, and they already have so many defensemen injured. So really bad blow for Toronto. For the Golden Knights, Theodore has an upper body injury. His injury has been updated to a week-to-week status, so that's not great news for the Golden Knights to lose Theodore for the next couple of weeks. And then for the Winnipeg Jets, Gabriel Vilardi has been cleared to play after missing a significant period of time due to a knee injury. Meanwhile, Nemesnikov has a lower body injury. He's going to be out day to day right now for the Winnipeg Jets. That's a really bad blow for Winnipeg, but now they have Vilardi back. That's all right. So really good stuff there for the Winnipeg Jets, and really good stuff there all around. Most of these guys are able to get back from injuries, so really good stuff there. And there are a couple of guys like a Newhook or a Schwartz who are going to be out for a next significant period of time, or even a Giordano or a Theodore. So it'll be interesting to see. But those are your injury updates from the past couple of days. And now going over to the trade rumor part of the video. So we'll start with a little thing that Elliotte Friedman said that the Seattle Kraken could be looking for. On his recent 32 Thoughts podcast yesterday, Elliotte Friedman said the Seattle Kraken could definitely use a scorer. He says that the Kraken have definitely seen that teams are starting to defend a lot better against their defensemen. Coach Hackstall said that at this point in time they had more points last year by defensemen than this year, so it seems like other teams are starting to notice that they have a lot of good offensive defensemen and they're not putting up as much points this year. Elliotte Friedman said that they could definitely use a goal scorer. He says that last year they had Tolvanen, who would put up like 20-25 goals after being claimed off of waivers. Sprong put up 20 goals, 40 points. He's not there anymore, so they don't have as much scoring depth as they had last year, and he said that they could definitely use a scorer. He says it's really hard to come by, but I can definitely see why they would want a scorer. They could definitely probably use maybe another offensive defenseman on the back end, but I do think that they could definitely benefit from like a really legit top 6 forward. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to find one. I'm not exactly sure who they could try and target, either right now or possibly in the off season. But it would be interesting to see. They have a really good center group, especially with Wright in the future, so I don't think they would need a center. But I think that if they could use like a scoring winger, I think it would be a fantastic addition for the Seattle Kraken. So I'm not exactly sure who they would go after. The Kraken, I definitely think, would be willing to possibly move some of their picks and prospects. They still have a lot of picks for this upcoming season. They also have a couple of decent prospects that they could possibly look to move. So I definitely think that the Kraken have enough in their system right now that they could try and pull off a big trade to try and improve this team even further. So it'll be interesting to see, but they've been losing a lot of close games. They're 8-10-6 right now. They're not in a playoff spot, so if they continue to falter, maybe they sort of be sellers at the deadline, move UFAs like Wenberg, Eberle, and Schultz. But I do think that they're still hovering around the playoff line. Maybe they try and move a couple of picks, prospects or two, and maybe try and improve this team by adding a scorer. So it'll be interesting to see, but they haven't been getting as much offense from their defensive guys this year as they did last year, and Elliotte Friedman thinks they could try and look at trying to get a scorer. So it'll be interesting to see, but that seems like a very likely possibility for the Kraken. If you guys think that there's someone who really fits the Kraken's mold a lot, definitely let me know who you think down in the comments. Will be a very good fit for the Seattle Kraken in their top 6. Going over to the Edmonton Oilers, not a huge update here for the Oilers, not around their goaltending situation, but they've won 4 straight. But a lot of interesting notes for the Oilers have come from Columbus Blue Jackets games. Apparently the Jackets have had Oilers scouts for their past couple of games, and it seems like the Oilers are sort of scouting some of the Columbus Blue Jackets players, and a lot of people have thought that meant one of their goaltenders, most likely maybe Spencer Martin, a cheap 1-year option who doesn't make a ton of money, who could definitely be a solid backup. But there's some people who told Elliotte Friedman that maybe that's not it, and it's not just the goaltender. Maybe it's something a little bit bigger. I definitely think the Oilers could be looking at one of the Jackets defensemen, whether it be Andrew Peeke or Adam Boqvist. Both are good right shot defensemen. Both could be very good right shot defensive upgrades in their top 4 over guys like Cody Ceci and Brett Kulak. I think Peeke and Boqvist are more suited to be top 4 defensemen. Now both make decent amount of money. I think Peeke makes $2.75 million. I think Boqvist makes $2.45 million. So they both make just around $2.5 million. So it would be definitely an interesting move for the Edmonton Oilers, given the fact they don't have too much cap space. but I do think that would be a really good upgrade for the Oilers if they were able to get Peak or Boqvist. I think that would be a fantastic addition. Elliot Friedman didn't say Peak or Boqvist specifically, but I've heard some people say that maybe they go after the defenseman instead of a goaltender. It's still possible they could try and go after Spencer Martin, but I do think that Peak or Boqvist may be the likelier moves here. On top of needing some goaltending help, this team also needs defensive help. Peak, in my opinion, especially, is a really good defensive defenseman. I think will really work well in either the second or third pair in that team. So I could definitely see them go after a defenseman in Columbus, and we know that the Columbus Blue Jackets are open to moving Peak or Boqvist, as they have a plethora of defensemen right now. So it will be interesting to see, but I definitely think that there's a very likely shot that Peak or Boqvist could wind up finding themselves on their way to Edmonton if the Oilers can find a way to make a trade work. So it'll be interesting to see, but lots of scouts in the Columbus Blue Jackets game from the Edmonton Oilers, and while a lot of people do think this could be towards a goaltender, like a Spencer Martin, it's not a guarantee, and I think personally they could go after Peak or Boqvist to try and improve their defense instead of their goaltending. So it'll be interesting to see there. On top of that, what's next for the Calgary Flames? The Flames have now made a recent trade, trading Zadorov, who was a pending UFA, asked for a trade, didn't want to be in Calgary anymore. There was a lot of talk that he was going to get moved. I am a little bit surprised that it was this early. I thought it would have happened a little bit closer to the deadline, maybe not at the deadline, but probably like sometime in mid-January, maybe early February I thought would have happened. So I'm a little bit surprised that happened now, but Elliot Friedman made a good point saying that Jim Rutherford, who's the president of hockey ops in Vancouver, likes to make trades early. If he finds a player that he really does like, he likes to make those trades early. So I'm not overly surprised that Rutherford and the Canucks made this move, especially given the asking price. But what's the next move for the Calgary Flames? On the 30 Thoughts podcast, Elliot Friedman did mention that he thinks that with the Canucks now taking on Zadorov's full cap hit, the fact that the Flames didn't have to retain anything, which really made that deal work. Given that fact, he says that he thinks that there might be something else in the works for the Calgary Flames. He says nothing's imminent, but he does think that they could be working on some other things. We know Tanev is a possible trade option, Hanifin, Lindholm, those are all three pending UFAs who could also be moved too. I've heard some people say maybe that Hanifin gets moved in the sign-and-trade. That's a possibility. There seems to be some speculation that the Arizona Coyotes are a team who's interested in Hanifin. Same with the New York Islanders and the Boston Bruins. Bruins have had interest in Hanifin for a while now, so I'm not overly shocked that they could be a team who's interested in him. The Islanders, there's been some talk that the Islanders could look to improve their defensive core, so I'm not overly shocked that they would want to get another defenseman, but I think a scoring forward is more important right now than a top pair of defensemen, so it'll be interesting to see, but they seem to have some interest in Hanifin. Arizona, according to multiple sources, including Elliot Friedman, has said that they are interested in Hanifin. They are looking to improve on their defensive core, and Hanifin's a solid top pair of defenseman, something they don't have. So I could definitely see Arizona be of interest there too. So it's interesting to see there. Lindholm, I've seen some people linking to Boston, given the fact that Boston could really use a top six center. I've seen some people looking to Columbus, although I don't think that would happen in season. That's more of an off-season move for the Jackets. But those are two teams who I think have been linked to Lindholm over the past little while. Tanev's been linked to Toronto and New Jersey over the past little while. A lot of people think Tanev will be the target that Toronto goes after to try and improve their D-core. Jersey could definitely use a defensive upgrade too. So it seems like there's a lot of interest there in those guys right now. I could definitely see them be moved in the not too distant future, but I think it will take a little bit more time. Zadorov had asked for a trade request. He knew that he was not resigning, so I definitely think that he was the most likely out of the four to wind up being traded. I think the Flames may try and keep one or two of these guys, but I think there's a very likely chance all three of these guys who are still remaining in Calgary when they're getting moved. Now the question will be, when will that happen? I'm not sure if the Flames are going to make another trade before the December roster freeze in a couple of weeks' time, but I do think there's a very likely chance that maybe before the trade deadline by a couple of weeks, we do see some of these guys on a game move. So it'll be interesting to see, but Elliot Friedman does think that the Flames are not done yet. They could definitely look to try and make another move, and whether it's Tanev, Lindholm, or Hanifin, it does seem like it's going to be happening, maybe not in the not too distant future. I'm not sure if it'll happen before the roster freeze, but I think in the next little while, there's a very likely chance that will happen. So it'll be interesting to see. Going over to the Montreal Canadiens. Are the Canadiens getting close to trading a goaltender? Now, there's a lot of talk recently that now that Sam Montembeault has been signed, they don't really want to move Cam Primo, otherwise they would have already moved him or sent him on waivers. They don't really want to lose Cam Primo. There seems to be a lot of speculation that Jake Allen will be traded in the not too distant future. Now, Allen has been a fantastic goaltender this year. Allen's been putting up some fantastic numbers with the Montreal Canadiens this year. He's put up a lot of good, solid games so far this year for the Montreal Canadiens. He's done all right, but the Canadiens do have a three-headed goalie monster. They're not moving Montembeault now that they've signed him. Doesn't sound like they're moving Primo, and they don't really want to run with a three-headed goalie monster for a long period of time. So it does seem like Allen is a very likely trade candidate. Now, he's making over $3 million for this year and next year, so it's going to be interesting to see what sort of teams wind up being able to acquire him. Some teams who I could see have some interest right now would be the Buffalo Sabres. I know Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is doing all right this year, but I think with Levi now in the minors, him probably needing some time in the minors, I think adding Allen might be a really good option there. He could be Levi's backup or tandem partner for the next year or two while Levi continues to grow. So, and for the time being, be partnered with UPL, and I think they could definitely move Comrie back in return. Comrie's on the final year of his deal, $1.8 million cap hit, and someone who the Canadiens could definitely send down to the minors. So I could definitely see that sort of a deal being played out. I think Allen would be a fantastic fit for the Buffalo Sabres. For New Jersey Devils, that's another possibility. Now, they couldn't trade a goaltender back, which might make the Devils wind up moving Schmid to the minors. But I do think that Allen could be a really good option there for the Devils. The Devils have not had a fantastic start to the season in goal with Schmid and Vanacek, and they could look to try and get an upgrade in net. So it'll be interesting to see, but I definitely could see a team like New Jersey have interest in Allen. And then we know the Edmonton Oilers have an interest in adding a goaltender, maybe Jake Allen. The thing for Edmonton is that they don't really have too much cap space, and I highly doubt that the Montreal Canadiens would want to take back Jack Campbell. So it'll be interesting to see if they are able to still work that out. But I think Edmonton still has some interest in Allen. And I think they could still be one of the teams who winds up acquiring him. Maybe there's another couple of teams out there who could use a goaltender who I'm not thinking about right now. But I think Jersey, Buffalo, and Edmonton will probably be the most likely ones at this point in time. So it'll be interesting to see. But it definitely seems like an Allen trade is a lot more likely right now because of the Montembeault extension. And I think teams like Jersey, Buffalo, and Edmonton are going to be players to watch out for if Allen does wind up becoming available. So it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to hear all of your guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comment section. Definitely let me know about your opinions on all of this. Does Jake Allen get traded after the Sam Montembeault extension? And if so, where does he go? Is it Jersey, Buffalo, Edmonton, another team? Love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Does the Jackets trade Edmonton a defenseman? Could they move Peak? Could they move Boqvist? Is it goaltender Spencer Martin who the Oilers are looking at? Could definitely see any one of those three be a possibility. For the Calgary Flames, which one of the players is moved next? Is it Lindholm? Is it Tanev? Is it Hanifin? Is it someone else? Definitely. After the Zadorov move, I think they will move a couple more players. The question is when and who will be moved. Definitely. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Do the Kraken add a top 6 level goal scorer? Is it possible that they can, or do you think they're more of going to be sellers this year, moving guys like Eberle, Wenberg, and Schultz? Definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Plus, love to hear your guys' thoughts on the injury updates and the waiver updates and the signing updates. Definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on all that. But that's what I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video, and if you're legit, remember to subscribe down below. We are so close to 200 subscribers. Thank you for all your support. I would never be able to do this without you guys, so don't forget to subscribe. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So definitely check that out. I'll leave links down in the description below. And I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.